Well, I'd like to welcome everybody to the work session tonight of April 15th. As you noticed, I'm fairly new at this. The mayor has announced that he has taken a voluntary and temporary excuse for himself from duties as the mayor, and I'll be the vice mayor tonight. Yes, sir.
Before you get started, may I add this to the agenda?
Yes, sir.
I want to add another agenda item 11 on the closed meeting tonight. Do I have to read it, Doug?
Not in its entirety now.
I just want to add another portion to the closed meeting tonight. And it'd be part of number 11.
Okay. I would like the town manager to discuss an item that he shared with us today.
Do we have to vote on this?
Yes, we actually do need a vote.
Oh, we do need a second too.
Yes. If I could have a roll call, Mr. Gillespie,
Yes.
Mr. Holloway,
Yes.
Mr. Meza,
Yes.
Mr. Sealock,
Yes.
Mr. T-Walk,
Yes.
and Ms. Thompson.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Mr. Ross.
Joe?
All right, thank you, Vice Mayor. It's my pleasure to notify council as well as the public that we are actually going to reach substantial completion of the PD this week, as well as an occupancy permit.
Yeah.
So it's a huge milestone for us. What this is going to allow us to do is start moving operations over to the new building in the week of April 22nd. It is also our goal to vacate the office over there on Jackson Street, 23 Jackson Street, and give it back to the county before the end of April.
I thought that was important
Congratulations.
news.
It's awesome.
We need to share with the public. Our agenda tonight will start with item 1, UPS special use permit application. Director of Planning and Zoning.
Thank you, Vice Mayor, members of Town Council. Bringing this one back to you, so I'm not going to get into all the details of the application, but as a refresher, this application is a special use permit for an overflow parking lot in the rear of 470 South Commerce Avenue. The applicant is UPS and the property owner is Puja Properties. On February 19th, the Town Council referred this application back to the Planning Commission after they had originally recommended denial of the application. But at that time, the applicant was proposing a substantial change to the application, removing tractor trailers from the equation primarily. So this went back to the Planning Commission on March 20th, and after receiving public input during the required public hearing, the Planning Commission discussed the changes. They viewed those favorably. The Planning Commission did also discuss possibility of requiring a fencing. They ultimately decided not to require a fence in this case. There were, however, 9 conditions that the Planning Commission recommended. Those are in your agenda packet, as well as you can see 2 through 9 on the screen for you. The first 3 are just standard informational type of conditions that put on special use permits. So number 4 through 9 are more material to the application. Number 4 is that tractor trucks, also referred to as semi-trailer trucks, and their trailers / semi-trailers shall be prohibited from the parking lot. And then it says, except when loading or unloading for short periods of time in association with the uses within the building at 470 South Commerce Avenue. So the intent of that is Dollar General, for example, can continue to operate with the tractor trailer on the parking lot, but UPS would be restricted. Number 5, loading or unloading of trucks on the parking lot is prohibited, which UPS had agreed with. Number 6, inoperative or junk vehicles are prohibited. Number 7, the parking area shall be maintained in good condition at all times, and each parking space shall be striped in accordance with town code. Number 8, the travel lane, a travel lane shall be maintained through the parking lot at all times. And that was out of concerns that some of the vehicles at one point were blocking access through the parking lot, and so that was a safety concern. They had agreed to maintain that. And number 9, delivery trucks shall be restricted from the parking in the spaces that abut the storm drainage ditch. These are the spaces closest to the homes within the Bow Ridge subdivision, located east of the proposed UPS parking lot. And so that was something that came out of the meeting and that was added, and the Plan Commission thought it was a good idea to keep the trucks, on the parking spaces furthest away from the houses, which UPS had actually offered in the discussion. So the Planning Commission had recommended unanimously to approve those conditions and recommend approval.
Any discussion at this point?
What did the Planning Commission refer to as far as the fence? I know they didn't include that, but was there a reason why they didn't include the fence? Do you know?
The site's really not that conducive to a fence. I mean, I think the consensus was that something was needed with the tractor trailers and, the heavily more industrial proposed use. It's a parking lot now essentially, and they're proposing to use it as a parking lot, so the Planning Commission didn't feel that that would serve any benefit and could potentially be an eyesore.
And UPS is agreeable to these 9 items?
Yes.
I recommend we put it on the council for the next meeting, whenever we get it advertised.
Jeremy, just a couple of quick questions. How are we able to restrict UPS from being, for not being able to unload or load their trucks, but allow another business such as Dollar General to load and unload trucks? How are we able to be specific to a specific store being able to do that, but not another, not UPS?
Well, there was a concern with loading and unloading during the evening hours. That was probably the biggest concern, I would say, and the noise associated with that. UPS had agreed that they wouldn't be they would just be parking, using it as a parking lot, not as a distribution facility. So it's a downscale of intensity of the use by not having that industrial activity of loading and unloading on a regular basis. Dollar General's already there, and they're not really part of this application. So I just wanted to distinguish in the language there that that's not restricting that.
So that's not a discriminatory factor then, to restrict one company but not the other in the same lot?
Well, it would be a different type of use if you've got a distribution facility, which is more classified as an industrial type of use versus Dollar General. And so that's more of an ancillary use for Dollar General, loading the retail components. And so it would be considered a more intensive use to have an industrial type of loading and unloading on a regular basis. UPS had no intent to load or unload on the property after their...
Yeah, I realize that. I was just curious because it just on the surface level, I think I understand what you're saying, but on the surface level, it just seems like we're prohibiting one company from doing it, but allowing the other to do it because they were already there. And UPS is saying that they're not going to use it as a loading dock essentially, but Dollar General is allowed to. So I was just questioning whether or not that essentially we were allowed to do that.
Dollar General is a by right use. So
Okay.
they have the right to, do that use. This use is a special use permit, so we have that discretion.
Okay, the other question I had, the trucks parking against the fence, the delivery trucks, are they considered no different than an F-150? Are they a special type of vehicle that are classified differently that we could actually restrict from parking in one spot versus another spot. They're using the same size parking, right?
Yes.
So,
They're diesel. There was concerns from the citizens about air pollution, diesel fumes.
but they
And
can,
this is something that was offered by the applicant and planning commission. Didn't object to it, thought it was a good idea. So.
yeah, I just always worry about arbitrary things that we're putting in that restrict the use for a company. I mean, make it easy as possible. So if they're allowed to park a diesel truck against the fence, but not the one branded UPS, then it just seems like an arbitrary rule that we're putting on the applicant. And so I question whether or not that was something necessary, even though they were willing to do it. But to say the applicant's willing to do it, they're probably willing to do a lot of things just to get this passed. So I was just questioning whether or not that was something that was necessary, that should be in there.
It wasn't recommended originally. It came up in the meeting, like I said, out of concerns, I think, from the citizens that spoke about the fumes.
Clear?
Yeah, it's clear. I just think that it doesn't make sense to me if it's not a special semi truck, it's a delivery truck, that we're basically saying because it's a diesel truck, we're telling it to park in a different spot in normal parking. Just I try to always think about how we can be as friendly and easy to operate with companies, and that's just one of those things where it just doesn't seem like it seems like a rule we're making up for them more than it is something that seems necessary, that's all.
Why wasn't the terminology POV used? Privately owned vehicles, that's the way I understood this thing.
Well, the UPS wants to use it now for parking for their employees, which I guess would be POV vehicles. And then, but they also wanted it for the delivery trucks, which would be UPS business trucks.
Latasha, anything? Councilman T-Walt has said that he'd like to push this on the agenda. Jake?
Sure.
Chris? Gary? Joe?